Growth is a mystery. We don't know how it happens. We just hope it happens for us in beneficial ways. Take, for example, the man in Jesus' parable. He hopes to see a fruitful harvest spring from his bag of seeds, but he needs help. He can't make any seed grow by his own power, so he plants them, trusting a power other than his own to help fulfill his hope. And you know what? The power goes to work. Jesus says, night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how. The miracle mysteriously takes place in the soil, which all by itself produces grain. First the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. This parable teaches that we don't have to see growth in action or understand how it happens to trust that it's happening. The kingdom of God has a similar process. All on its own, out of our sight and our control, it mysteriously produces growth. I believe one reason Jesus teaches this lesson is to encourage people who are believing in God to keep believing, even though they haven't yet seen any growth. It's as though Jesus is telling us, don't get discouraged. This is how it works. You see, when we put our faith in what Jesus reveals about God's loving and powerful character, we have to leave room for God to be loving and powerful. In other words, we put our faith in God's hands the same way the sower puts his seed in the ground, and then we wait for a response. During these quiet, seemingly stationary times when there is no visible growth, we are tempted to think nothing is happening. But as Jesus illustrates with the soil and seed, work done is not always work seen. The good news here is that without having visible proof, you can be sure that your faith in God is growing. And one day you will see it. Maybe you'll see growth in your patience to manage disruptive circumstances. Perhaps you'll see growth in your confidence to use your God-given gifts. Or it could be the newfound grace you recognize after someone rudely pushes past you at the grocery store. We don't know how it happens. We don't know how God does it, but that's not as important as knowing God will respond to your faith in loving and powerful ways, and you will see the proof. Seeing growth in us and around us inspires us to put more faith in God. We know God is active. Our minds no longer toss and turn, wondering what's happening away from our sight. And we no longer fear that we are waiting on God in vain. We now know God is active, even when we don't see God working. My friends, do not allow what you do not see to prevent you from believing in what you will see. Do not allow what you do not know to rob you of what you do know about God. And do not allow time, circumstances, or a lack of evidence to convince you they can stop God's growth in your life. Put your faith in God and the power of God's kingdom and give God time to respond. Eventually, you will see just how much God has been at work on you and on your behalf. Peace.